Dear Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama, we are writing to you today to voice our concern about the lack of ethnic studies in Alabama's public K-12 curriculum. It has already been proven that ethnic studies increases attendance, GPA, and student morale. In this letter, we will elaborate on these successes as well as address the false counter-narrative on the anti-American effects of ethnic studies. As Alabama's diversity rates begin to increase, we feel it is important that students acquire knowledge of various ethnic groups in the state's population. By requiring ethnic studies, the cycles of poverty, violence, and incarceration that so many communities of color face can be broken. It also gives students the resources and knowledge they need so they can see themselves as makers of history.
Dear Congresswoman Maxine Waters, my name is Paul Sims. I'm a student at UCSC majoring in CRES. This letter is regarding why it is important for ethnic studies to be included in K-12 school curriculum. Students like me deserve to liberate their education and identity. While taking CRES courses at UCSC, I began to reclaim my education and become aware of my history, society, and the inequalities of our system. Liberating me from educational oppression, ethnic studies empowers students to advocate for social justice and question the inequalities in our system. As James Lowen states, when my students from non-affluent backgrounds learn about the class system, they find the experience liberating. Lowen, 1996, helping students of color to understand the systemic oppression that thousands of families, communities, and individuals like myself have endured will allow them to participate in activism and fight against these injustices.
Ethnic studies courses do not only help represent that population of students in the area, but also improves how the schools function. According to a study done by Bonilla, D., and Panner, 2021, the implementation of ethnic studies resulted in attendance being up 21 percentage points, GPAs increased by 1.4 grade points, and credits earned increased by 23. Furthermore, the engagement of students goes up when they learn about people who look like them. The reason for this rise in performance among students is because ethnic studies acts as a bridge that connects the dominant school culture to students, homes, and heritage culture, thus promoting academic achievement for historically marginalized students.
The ethnic studies movement, motivated by the 1960s protests at Marriott College, San Francisco State University, and UC Berkeley, paved the way for students of color, especially Black students, to demand and establish ethnic studies electives in their colleges that center their own identities, histories, and cultures.
The goal of ethnic studies is to work on eliminating racism, decolonizing students' minds, and sustaining minorities' cultures. And that is best done from the recollection, information, and stories of those who have been oppressed and colonized in the past and present. Students of color will gain liberation from taking back the truth of the facts we have been told our entire lives in school.
Suggested in the respective essay of James Lowen and Jean Anion, history textbooks often reflects a Eurocentric perspective which results in the exclusion of several marginalized groups and the inequalities that they face, contributing to a hidden curriculum. This exclusion sparked the ethnic studies movement at San Francisco State University and UC Berkeley and inspired them to demand their own ethnic studies department and for better representation in the curriculum. Wayne Inu, 2020, explained that the San Francisco State University strike in the 1968 was significant in paving the way for more ethnic studies curriculum to be introduced in K-12 schools throughout the United States, such as African American, Asian American, Native American, and Mexican American studies. Thank you for your time. Paul Sims.
To speak on the counter-narrative that ethnic studies is racist towards white people and exposes anti-American ideas to students, the goal is to encourage and educate those who have been oppressed by sharing truthful knowledge and giving students a voice. Schools in the education system have historically been discriminatory, and ethnic studies is the first attempt to change that narrative. The discrimination is simply accountability and learning from the past mistakes. No student should feel guilty because they will learn to have the ability to change and work towards creating a new narrative. Thank you for your time. Solana Siegel and Audiana Ward.